Hello, greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about the gig economy. Now, for those of you who are not aware of what the gig economy is, let me briefly explain. The gig economy is the effect of the disruptive business models created by the incestuous partnership of tech bros and finance bros. Essentially, what happens is a tech bro writes 12 lines of code. Then a bunch of finance bros throw billions of dollars at it so they have starting capital and burn money. And what they do is they use the 12 lines of code to make an app that essentially takes a job away from tens of thousands of people and instead vectors them into working for an app as a 1099 gig contractor rather than an actual W-2 employee. Essentially, people become a company of one, and they are their own employee. And as such, those people are responsible for all of the ancillary costs involved with having the job. For example, Uber comes out, wipes out taxi cab drivers. Then taxi cab drivers become Uber drivers. Now, instead of using a taxi cab owned by the taxi cab company, they are using their own car, thus accelerating the depreciation, making the car worth less money and more expensive to maintain rather than using the company's car. Or Grubhub. Grubhub essentially put all the delivery drivers from all the local restaurants in a cute little town near you out of business. Those people used to have a paycheck. They used to have certain protections afforded to them by the law as an employee of a company. But now instead, they are gig contract workers for an app. So they do not get a weekly paycheck and then cash tips. They get a payout from an app once a month who, takes a little off the top since they're providing such an amazing service for you, the independent contractor, who, is starting their own business, a delivery business, which used to be a job that you had before the app made your job no longer a job. And so today I wanted to continue our current trend of focusing on workers, their struggle, and how they are organizing to demand better. Yeah, we got another one. Let's get excited, people. Here we go. Fed up Instacart shoppers ask customers to delete the Instacart app. Well, that certainly seems aggressive. Yes, that's right, everybody. Instacart, the disruptive business model app that came out just in time to make sure that grocery stores that started hiring local delivery drivers and putting them on their payroll instead got appified and also became contractors. Yay, it's like starting your own business, only you make almost no fucking money. The shoppers have had enough. A group of contractors for the grocery delivery app Instacart published an open letter on Monday asking for customers to immediately delete the app. At issue, according to the nonprofit Gig Workers Collective, are long-standing pay and safety concerns. Quote, over the last 5 years, Instacart has been relentlessly gutting shoppers' wages, exploiting its improperly classified workforce, and outright stealing shoppers' wages and tips on its path to its highly anticipated public offering. For the unaware, Instacart bills itself as a digital platform connecting shoppers and customers. Customers use the service to place grocery store orders, and then shoppers, as their name would suggest, shop for and deliver the items. Now, I'm not going to lie. A long time ago, had a job somewhat like this. I worked as a personal assistant for a computer dude who made a bunch of money. And part of the stuff I would do is like once or twice a week, I would go to the grocery store and go shopping for him. Yeah, guess what? He still had a small 8-person corporation, and I worked for that company, and I got paid through that company, and I got health insurance, and there was liability protection if I got injured while I was doing my job. So this is essentially the appification of one small part of the job that I had once, only now it's not a job, it's a contracted position. Beyond low pay, the letter highlights what it says are unsafe working conditions brought about by the pandemic. Quote, working for Instacart is not safe, and workers must be protected on the job. The last 18 months have been especially dangerous for Instacart shoppers. When reached for comment, Instacart was quick to highlight what it says is the highest shopper sentiment in company history, and to insist that it's taken the pandemic seriously. For those who are unaware, out of all the shitty apps and all the shitty things that happen to people working for shitty apps, Instacart has the highest ratio of shitty things, because not only do they have to deal with problems out on the road, but also at the grocery store. Just a couple of months ago, an Instacart shopper got killed in a mass shooting in a grocery store. But don't worry, Instacart wasn't liable for anything because, after all, the driver wasn't an employee of Instacart. They were an independent contractor. According to gig workers collective organizers, Instacart gig workers are predominantly women, many of them single mom with childcare responsibilities. Ah, yes, the most vulnerable among us in society. Single moms, people who somehow have to deal with raising a child by themselves and yet finding enough hours in a day away from their child that they can sell their labor to other people to hopefully make enough money so that themselves and their child won't be homeless or go hungry. Quote, we are asking customers to delete the app and find something else. I'd like to think people care about each other now more than before the pandemic and can see that Instacart workers are exploited and put in dangerous and unhealthy and unsafe positions, said Robin Pape, an Instacart shopper in Ithaca. Pape, a single mother and disabled veteran who signed up to become an Instacart shopper in 2018 for the flexibility it offered her, said she's seen her earnings on the platform fall about 50% since she started. Instacart has lowered its default tip amount, changed its assignment system, and stopped paying its workers a 40-cent per item commission order. The default tip amount is currently 5%. Quote, we see this as tip conditioning. Research shows people go with the default tip amount because that seems like the fair amount. When they dropped the tip amount from 10% to 5%, people started leaving that as the default. There was no good reason for them to change it. Of course there was, Robin, because if they change it, you make less money, it makes you more desperate, so you will work more hours for Instacart, even though it doesn't cost Instacart any extra money for you to sell your labor as an independent contractor 80 hours a week instead of 40. Instacart literally does not give a fuck, and they're happy that you're desperate and making less money. Please continue to labor harder, plebe. Instacart gig workers are also calling for occupational death benefits as reports of assaults, murders, carjackings, and attacks targeting gig workers have soared during the pandemic. Instacart shoppers do not receive life insurance, healthcare, workers' comp, paid time off, or sick days. And yet, out of all those, they're asking for occupational death benefits. Why? Because they know they're not going to have enough money to go see a doctor, even if they do get health insurance from this shitty app employer. So health insurance really doesn't matter. It just gives them access to health insurance that they can't afford to use to go see a doctor on time they don't have because they're busy shopping for other people for like $5 a grocery run. Quote, we need occupational death benefits. A lot of people are single moms and single fathers or are retired and shop on Instacart to make up for what Social Security doesn't cover. It fills the gap for a lot of people, said Pape. I support 2 kids. If something happened to me or to them, there would be a lot of people who were struggling and not getting their needs met anymore. Workers asking consumers to boycott their source of income is a notable escalation. But Instacart's gig workers, who've been organizing since 2017 to improve their working conditions, say the company has refused to listen to their demands. For them, asking customers to delete the app is the last resort or option. Now, it would seem all these workers who have been with Instacart for a while are all saying that the amount of money that they make has dropped about 50% over the last 5 years. Meanwhile, earnings have skyrocketed to the point where they are planning on possibly going public with their company because they make so much goddamn money off the backs of independent contractors. And now a final note on this, out of a separate article over on TechCrunch. Instacart didn't indicate that it had any plans to address the gig workers' collective demands. As Instacart considers going public, the shoppers think now is a good time to take their demands to the next level by asking customers to boycott the very service that they use to pay their bills. Quote, people that speak out against us taking action will say things like, if you don't want to do this, go get another job. But the problem is that this work is so exploitative that if somebody doesn't take a stand, then the next person in line is going to be exploited. Together, we gain so much power and traction by collectively speaking out. So what does this mean for you, the average viewer at home watching this right now? Well, number one, it means you are now a little more aware of the fact that every single one of these apps that is a part of the gig economy solely exists to extract more money out of the working class by essentially not even making them members of the working class, by treating them all as their small, own, independent, individual companies. So what are we going to do with this? We're going to do the same damn thing we did during the Lay's strike and the Nabisco strike. We're going to listen to the workers. And if the workers say, delete this app, hurt their bottom line, hit them where it counts, even though it's going to cost us money, well, I'm going to listen to you because that's what solidarity looks like. So everybody, if you can, get rid of these apps, stop using them so much, stop giving money to the tech bros and the finance bros who are just going to use all this revenue to go public and create yet another app that devours more jobs and ensures that even fewer members of the working class can afford to use these apps in the first place. Solidarity, people. Working class solidarity. It's tipping the scales, so keep pushing. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.